Hillary Brutus.
Thank you. Thank you, Mallory, for such an incredible event. Give it up for Mallory, everybody. I am so grateful to be here with you guys because I feel so inspired and so motivated. I've actually had the pleasure to know Naomi for a little bit, and seeing her growth is just incredible. And so, really, my talk here today is to focus on unlocking your purpose and prosperity and creativity. Now, when I say unlocking the pathways to purpose, prosperity, and creative positive impact, that just sounds like words, right? But what it basically means is to live a successful life purposefully as you make a positive difference. See, purpose is defined as discovering your reason why you want to be able to do something, as well as finding the direction into your life course that you want to take on. One of the biggest things that stuck out to me in terms of discovering your true purpose was having to spend time alone, discovering what my unique strengths and skill sets were. And really, in determining who am I, what do I care about, who do I want to become. And so it's such an incredible experience in discovering and tapping into your purpose, because what you realize the moment in which you discover your purpose is the moment in which everything else will align for, because your purpose comes from figuring out exactly what it is that you want to do, but most importantly, as a compass in your journey to self-discovery. So my objective here today is just to give you a few references from some biblical perspective in regards to how in which I'm using my purpose and being able to share my story and elevate other people here today. Here's what it says in Romans 12, verse 2. Okay, so bear with me, y'all. I've been studying this, but quite frankly, I didn't even remember it. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Okay? So let me say that again. Do not conform by the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good and pleasing, perfect will. I grew up Catholic. I'm still Catholic. Okay? And I understand that most of us do not share the same religious belief, but nor am I here to talk to you about just my personal religious belief, but what I really want to focus on in regards to tapping into your faith, because I know most of us believe in having faith into something. When you decide to do something bigger than yourself, you have to actually have faith that it's going to work out, right? Because the moment in which you take that decision into doing something that's going to be giving you a more rewarding and fulfilling aspect to your life, the faith is what's going to help drive you. And so the other thing in which I want to help you understand in terms of tapping into your purpose is discovering your talents, right? We all have natural gifts that we're born with. We all have supernatural talents, as Naomi was saying earlier, that makes you unique. But how do you nurture these talents? How are you going to use those talents for good and help other people? And how is that going to make you more prosperous? See, I used to be the guy that thought that you can't be a man of faith and also have wealth. I thought because if you happen to have so much material possession, then guess what? At the end of the day, you must not be a believer, because at the end of the day, you don't see a Bill Gates or Warren Buffett talk about their faith, right? But the biggest thing is, whether or not they choose to share it or just keep it to themselves, they had to believe in themselves enough to know that they could pull off what they were able to pull off to the way that they've impacted so many millions in lives. And this is one of the things where when you recognize the part of you that is going to value outside relationships that are being formed, because wealth isn't just being shown to the material possessions that we have, because prosperity is also reflected through the right relationships that we connect with, because it also helps us achieve balance by having to take care of our well-being, right? And see, if you look it through the room, you have lots of beautiful faces with different people who all come from different backgrounds. But one of the things that's uniting us here today is because that we all want to share something that's going to help us elevate ourselves. However much this may impact you, you know them, right? By putting yourself in this room, you'll get something that's going to be rewarding for you moving on. And lastly, the biggest thing that I think someone else mentioned it earlier, because I was like, oh my God, it's so funny how this is part of my speech, but when it comes to creating a positive impact, acts of kindness and community engagement are the catalyst that's going to help drive force by leveraging your skills for good, right? How is it that you're going to show up for somebody else? How is it that you're going to show up for yourself? Because if you cannot be the person that's going to be intentional about choosing to show up for someone, then people can't expect anything from you. And the impact that we crave and the fulfillment that we all seek is all about serving others. You hear it throughout all the speeches, all the speakers that talked about how is it they want to help other people. Because we all want to have some form of impact that's going to leave a lasting positivity into somebody else. See, in Jeremiah verse 29 to 11, it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope in the future." I know the plans I have for you already, says the Lord. Now, I'm choosing to use God as my compass in my life because that's whom in which I believe in and directing me into everything that I'm doing. I want to share a quick story with y'all. I decided that this year the word submission was going to be my word because I wanted to surrender my life to Christ. Now, I grew up Catholic, right? But then I also had gotten to go my own journey. But then I said I was going to put everything I was going to do this year, I was always going to put God first because I knew that the moment in which I tried to drift away, he was going to find something, some way to get me back. Because what I realized was I wanted to do all these amazing things. I wanted to be out and speak and share my story with other people and help elevate and empower them. But at the same token, what I also noticed is by deciding to fully put God first, it really helped transform everything for me in my business. And one of the biggest things that I decided to do this year was to host a series of marketing workshops, one in which my good friend Brendan have helped me host. And it was such an incredible experience. But what I was not prepared for the first two events is that the amount of people I was expecting to show up, even though I wanted it to be a small and intimate experience, were going to be 2 times less than what I actually had. But what really made the biggest shift was when I realized I was given the blueprint that I was going to be able to use to now host the next series of workshops next year. And so the very last event that I had, not only did I have so many people showed up, it was sold out and it was my best event yet. And all of this took place because I had decided that I was going to be putting God first in everything that I do. So if you took anything away from my speech today, number one I shared with you was, in terms of finding your purpose, is to discover that purpose by spending some time alone. Number 2 is to nurture your purpose once you find it by using your gifts. And number 3, through acts of kindness and community engagement, you'll be able to create that positive impact. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I went over my time. My name is Gilly Smith-Brutus, and I'm grateful for you again.
Thank you, Guillory. My pathways feel so unlocked right now. I think what you talked about was really important, and I love that you chose the word surrender for the year.